All right, while I was doing my afternoon cardio, I decided to scroll through Google News just to see if I could find a topic that might resonate better with my audience. And the first article was resentment in general from the proletariat towards the corporations for letting the last 3 years go by without any significant promotions, without pay raises, and with dead end jobs becoming more of a common thing. And the second I read that, it reminded me of my current job. There has been no promotions. There has been an increase in terminations, including a 10 to 15% reduction in workforce just in the last couple of months. No one feels safe at work. No one is getting ahead. And your only way of getting out of this mess is to find another job. But I've been looking for another job for months, and the corporations aren't hiring. I mean, if you're submitting resumes for weeks on end and no one is calling you back, then holding on to your crummy job in the interim becomes the only logical thing to do, even when the management and Evil Corp resents you for staying there because they have to work at terminations. They can't just terminate. And that leaves many people afraid of what to do next. So I put together parts of an article. I threw it together. I took out my usual talking points, and this is going to be my monologue for the video. You ever feel like you're running as fast as you can, but somehow going nowhere? Like you're stuck in an endless loop, same job, same paycheck, same struggles, while everyone keeps telling you to just work harder, be grateful, or climb some mythical ladder. The truth is, for so many of us, that ladder doesn't even exist anymore. We're out here hustling just to survive, stuck in roles that don't value us with no way up and no way out. This isn't just about work, it's about the silent toll it's taking on all of us. Let's talk about that. I know it's Chat GPT. Some of it is hokey. In fact, most of it is hokey. And I just don't have the pizzazz that I once had. I can feel myself becoming more resentful in the workplace, especially when they want to treat you like you're the problem. Like they're not giving you more money so that your life can become more comfortable. In fact, over the past 3 years, as food has become more expensive, housing and transportation have all increased while our paychecks have stayed the same. It means that we're actually getting paid less, regardless of what it says on your paycheck, which makes people feel undervalued, worthless, and absolutely disposable. Which, if you haven't felt that today, let me assure you, you are completely disposable to Evil Corp, and they are actively making certain that the jobs that used to pay good money don't exist. Entry level for life is the potential default position that you may find yourself, especially as a younger person. I consider myself to be a senior level management type of person in my current job, but there's still nothing there. There's still no likelihood that you will have a job through Christmas or the end of the year. We are all dreading that one message that you're going to get from Evil Corp telling you not to let the door hit you on the way out while being escorted out of the building by security because you didn't meet your performance metrics that were nearly impossible to meet intentionally in order to get rid of you. That's what I've seen over the past few months is that they are putting forth together ways in which they can blindside you for things that you often are not even aware of. The performance metrics in my current job gave me those metrics that I was supposed to meet a week before they were due because they didn't know what they should be. They knew that they should be high, but normally after your last year's review, they give you goals to work towards. But when they hand you the goals a week before and you're told this is what you were supposed to do last year, it does feel like the route to get you. And everyone in my department got the same thing. Goals were updated in your profile too late for you to do anything about it. And it's something that I've heard from other people in other departments as well is that they couldn't meet the goals that they had set out for them in their positions because they were unrealistic and obviously an attempt to remove as many people as humanly possible through human resources in their, I don't even know the word I want to use, I can't use because it's inappropriate for this platform. But let's just say it's not on the level and it doesn't pass the sniff test. Also, asking me to show skin on the live stream, really, people? Have we really come to this level on this channel? I did it because I'm shameless, though. Anyhow, all right, let's get into our 3 talking points for this video. As usual, I will be talking about them and then commenting as soon as I'm done. Talking point number 1. The narrative of a strong economy hides the reality that many jobs lack upward mobility, fair pay, or the opportunities to grow. This is something that up until a couple of weeks ago, I felt that this administration was hiding from the general public because they feared that it would cause their guy not to get reelected. Guess what? It worked. Just not telling people that the job economy is a miserable place to be right now didn't work because we all have 2 eyes and we can feel the fact that we are stuck in a place where 4% unemployment doesn't mean anything to me. If I'm stuck doing a job that I can't live off because there are no good jobs out there, 4% unemployment says nothing to me. What I feel every day is a lack of upward mobility. I feel that fair pay isn't fair pay at all. And the opportunities to grow in dead end jobs, well, that's not what jobs are for. Careers are for people to grow. But if you just have an ordinary job, if you're working at Circle K right now and you're a cashier and you feel like nothing is happening while I'm getting pictures here of a naughty sense, why did she pick right now to send these dirty, dirty, filthy pictures? Because I'm working. Anyhow, that was kind of rude, but I mean, you can't predict when someone's going to feel the way they do. So I got those pictures and I will not mention them anymore here. Okay, so the alleged strong economy, and I keep using that word allegedly because this administration, the Democrats, ran their entire campaign on this economy, right? That they kept telling us about how strong it was, about how many jobs were being created every month, but we all knew that the writing was on the wall. The jobs that were being created weren't jobs that support families, that create a comfortable financial place for you to be. The types of jobs that they created were just like all the other jobs. In fact, I don't believe any of the jobs that were created because I think that they're just recycling jobs. Or they're counting anyone that works 1 hour a week as employed, therefore you're creating all these 1 hour a week jobs. Something isn't right in the job economy, and we were all well aware of that. And that's why everyone went to the polls and did their hate vote because this isn't working. Will it get better? Absolutely not. As corporations are going to push corporate profits before human beings at every chance they get. What kind of country, what kind of system allows a person who has a job to still qualify for food stamps? We allow corporations like Walmart to get away with paying their workers practically nothing and then letting them qualify for food stamps so that they can use them to buy food inside of the same place that won't pay them enough to eat every day. which I think is a diabolical system, but it's what we have. A society that won't stand up to a system like this, in my opinion, deserves the punishment of allowing this to continue to be the way that things work. We know what's wrong, we can see it, we can feel it, and our unwillingness to do anything about it goes to show how little they think of us, because if we're not doing any, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And this is case in point. I was on the treadmill this afternoon and I could hear a guy that was way too excited talking behind me to some woman that I don't know if they were in a relationship or not. But not only was he watching pro sports on his phone like his life depended on it, but he was also humming along to the pop music that was coming out of the speakers and speaking in a manner in which I am not going to say anything negative, but he didn't sound like he was the most educated guy around. But that's your customer when you're Evil Corp. That's your employee. A person that instead of looking around at a system and saying, this doesn't work for me, this pay, these benefits, this lack of flexibility in the workplace, this isn't working for me. I feel poor while I'm working full time. I shouldn't feel poor. I shouldn't be house poor. I shouldn't be driving that jalopy. None of this should be happening if I'm working. But the reality is that it is happening, and most people don't know what to do about it, because what are we supposed to do about it? I wake up every morning in a panic attack because I have to go back to Evil Corp, while simultaneously being uh, grateful to Evil Corp for giving me a job, because that's what they want you to do. They want to punch you in the nuts while at the same time telling you that it doesn't hurt. That's gaslighting America, and it's been that way for many decades now, where they tell you that everything is fine, but you can feel that it's not. But what you feel and what you see isn't relevant, because you've got to be gaslit into believing that America is the greatest country in the world every single day. And every time I heard Morning Joe say that while he was while he was pro Democrat, I was thinking to myself, he can't possibly believe that. But the message is clear. It doesn't matter what he personally believes. The business that he works for wants him coming out there and saying what's best for those advertisement dollars. That's all the news is. The news isn't about broadcasting reality. It's about broadcasting a narrative of the reality that you think that you should be experiencing. According to the media, no one's poor. According to the media, homelessness is a, what is it? It's a mental health crisis for people that don't matter. Because obviously, if we wanted to help those people, we would have done it by now. We would have stopped sending money to the Ukraine. We would have stopped sending money to Israel. We would have stopped wasting billions of dollars on problems that we don't care about. And that's the reality of things. You know what we care about? The price of eggs, the price of milk. That's what the average Joe really cares about in America. Everything else that the government tries to make seem like an important issue, just go on to CNN right now and look at what they think that you should be thinking. I don't see problems for real world. I don't see solutions for real world problems of the working class people. Like, their problems aren't real. Being poor is a choice. Being poor is something that happens to stupid people. And guess what? This country is completely against helping anyone who can't help themselves. Just ask any conservative Republican or libertarian. If you can't make it, you're supposed to go look in the mirror at yourself and ask yourself why you haven't started your own business. Or, as the comment that I just deleted a few minutes ago said, if you can read and write, you have the tools to be successful in America. Guess what? Person who left that comment, middle finger to you, because there's millions, there's tens of millions of people who have no idea what they're going to do for Thanksgiving dinner. Moving on to talking point number 2. Workers report growing resentment and frustration as they pour effort into roles that offer no recognition or growth. Again, my personal situation. Growing resentment, frustration is what's out there in the proletariat. There isn't a whole lot of people who are hopeful for things to get better. But the only way for your financial situation to change is for a job economy to actually be healthy and be creating jobs that support families and that support people living comfortably. Not living paycheck to paycheck, having to pawn your jewelry every month in order to be able to cover rent. Because eventually, and this has happened to me many times, eventually you run out of things to pawn because you've given everything you have and your financial situation isn't changing for the better. In fact, for most of us, your financial situation is getting worse every single day without any clear solution for how we're going to get out of this. And that growing resentment is people being frustrated at being told that in order to get by now, you need to have a second full time job. And on top of that, you got to figure out how to make money while you're sleeping. That's what we've been told are in recently. I mean, not my whole life because my parents had it pretty easy in the 80s, but in recent times, in the last couple of decades, it is up to you to figure out how you're going to deal with a job economy that hates poor people. That's really what it comes down to. And the resentment towards the corporation is growing daily, and I hope becomes louder and louder because our frustration and our tears and our showing up to the 40-hour work week despite not wanting to be there, having anything to do with work, well, what are we supposed to do? What other options do we have? You can't stop working because work doesn't pay you enough. Remember, I can't afford to take this job is a common expression in America right now. I can't afford to take a job because it doesn't pay me sufficient enough to cover rent, food, and transportation to get to that job. When people are thinking about gas to get to work in the next week, something is fundamentally broken in the system that we know is broken, but we're being told is okay. It's like when people tell you that the girl that you're going out with isn't physically attractive, but it's all you can afford. You're like, well, it's not the best, but it's what I have. And you just tell yourself, and that women do this all the time in relationships with men that they would rather not be with. It's like, well, he's a little ugly, but, and I've had a girl tell me this. The guy that I chose is not the most attractive guy in the world. But because he's not super attractive, I don't worry that he's going to go play with another Susie Rottencrotch while he's in a relationship with me. I've heard that throughout my life. That's how we feel about jobs as well. This isn't the best job in the world, but, it's what I've got. And unfortunately, I can't get anything better because all the jobs suck out there. And the, you can't trade up your job, so you're stuck playing with this version of Susie Rottencrotch, which you would prefer you didn't have to go see every day. But unfortunately, we all have to show up at Evil Court Monday morning at 8 because that's what we do. Unfortunately, bills don't stop coming in because we don't like our jobs. Final talking point. Companies have stopped investing in employees, opting for minimal promotions and fewer hires to maximize efficiency. The result? A workforce stuck running in place while corporate profits soar. That's what I've been saying on here for years. While corporate profits soar, Johnny Sixpack and Susie Rottencrotch are having to figure it out. Susie's probably become a cam girl. Johnny Sixpack is, God only knows what Johnny Sixpack is doing. Amazon Flex, I don't know, showing skin on YouTube for donations. Who knows what Johnny is doing? But it probably isn't good, and he probably doesn't like doing it. Like entertaining people by attaching a car battery to his boys just so that he can make another couple bucks because That's what it's come down to. And I know that's an extreme example, but in a world in which you can't get ahead and you're running in place, what are you supposed to do while Evil Corp makes record profits from your effort, from your productivity? That's the worst part about this, is the record profits come from record exploitation of the proletariat. Anyhow, this video just reached 20 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think this is more in line with my typical content. And if you watch the whole video, leave the word crackerjack down in the comments because I want to know who makes it to the end of these super long videos.